Hi, Nicole here with Just the Tip Tuesday for Practice ND, and we're talking about camel pose. So for this posture, this can be challenging for a lot of people because it's a very deep heart opener and back bend. So you want to take some precautions when you're going through it to make sure that you're doing it the appropriate way. Also, if you have really bad low back pain or low back injury, this might be a pose that not something that you want to avoid, but you definitely want to take one of the less advanced postures, way to get into it in a beginner's way. So kind of starting from a beginner's model, I've got a beach towel here. So you can use this to double up for your knees if your knees are feeling sensitive for this posture, or you can double up your mat for this. I'm choosing the side angle so that you guys have a better view of the posture. So beginners and most practitioners do this posture with knees hip width distance apart. The more advanced that you want to go, the closer the knees come together. Okay, so for this pose, I would start with your knees together, and you can also start with your toes curled under here. Just going to adjust the camera a little. All right, so toes curled under as well. And you can always start from a supported way. So hands can come to your low back. I like to put them on my sacrum, my fingertips pointing down. And then I start thinking about my sits bones rooting down and my pubic bone starting to move forward. And then I lengthen through my torso, press my hips forward with my palms. So it's a lot of support here. And then my chest lifts. So I think about my sternum lifting towards the sky, and maybe a little drop back of the head. So great heart opener. You gently come back, tuck your chin into your chest, and then you can have a seat. So great heart opener to do for your practice. It doesn't have to be that deep, right? So if you wanted to go a little further, you can start out that exact same way. So knees are hip width distance apart, so you have some space in between your thighs. And then think about the sits bone starting to move down, and then your pubic bone starts to move forward. So you can already see that I start to find more length in my torso here. So I start to stand up a little taller, and then my torso lifts out of my hips, my heart lifts, then I start to lean back, maybe lean back a little further. Your hands can reach for your heels. Keep pressing your hips forward. So now my traps are like a little cushion for my head. And then to come out, my hands can come to my hips. Draw my chin to your chest, and slowly have a seat. So another way to get deeper into the pose, to do that reach back, and then you can also do it with the feet flat on the floor. So some things that are common in this posture, especially when you're a beginning practitioner, is people tend to lean back using the quads to reach for your heels, okay? So what we really want to try to maintain is our hips over our knees. So we really lift, and then the chest leans back, okay? So that can be something that you come across as a beginning practitioner, because a lot of times our goal is to hit the pose, not really to like feel the pose, right? So this goal is to feel the pose, to feel the heart opener, and really stretch and open up through the chest. Another thing that you can think about doing is keeping your glutes firm, and maybe trying to keep the front of the body a little less active. So if you're leaning back, then your quads are on fire. They're holding you up, and so is your core, okay? But if you're lifting up and back, then your quads are soft, right? They don't have to fire as much. They're firm and toned, but they're not strengthening here, okay? So if you wanted to go further into this pose, your feet could be flat on the ground, and you could get into it the exact same way with your hands supporting you to kind of make your way into that posture, and then find the reach back. Once you grab those heels, press your hips forward. And then you can come out the exact same way, chin to your chest, have a seat. So using your hands for support can help keep the integrity of the pose It can help keep that tall spine and really keep the hips pressing forward. So I like to use it almost every time that I do it, just a way to keep my torso long, okay? So if you have any neck issues or anything like that, then you might not want to drop your head back and you might not want to go as deep into the pose. So just kind of be aware of that. Or if you have high blood pressure that's untreated, you might want to avoid this pose as well. So some other tips that you can do is, I don't have one today, but I just got inspiration, so let me grab something else. If you have a block, you can actually place the block in between your thighs. This is the paper towel roll, so that's what I saw. I have a book, but it's not in arm's length, and my daughter's napping in the room with the book, okay? So you can put the block in between your legs. This is gonna keep your inner thighs engaged, and you can think about kind of turning your inner thighs towards the back behind you, okay? So thinking about where your inner thighs are, and then just kind of moving them backwards. And as you do that, you'll kind of see that my pubic bone moves forward and my tailbone moves down, okay? So that can be an option or a fun way to incorporate some props into your pose. And then I also really like to use a wall. So this is the door. So if anybody walks in, I'm gonna get knocked out. It'll be just fine, okay? So coming up to the door, this can be a good way to keep your thighs and your hips kind of pressing forward. So it gives you that like tactile feedback of what your body is doing. Because when you're in this pose, you have no idea if you're leaning back because you can't see yourself, right? So you can try it this way, and it can be a really eye-opening experience, okay? So you come all the way up to the wall, you get really personal with the wall, whatever you want to do, okay? All right, so again, your hands can come behind you. You can start to push your hips forward. So push your hips forward, lift your torso, keep pressing your hips forward, pressing your hips forward. See if you can maintain connection with the wall. So hips pressing, thighs pressing, and then hands reach back. Take a couple of deep breaths. Hands come back for support. Tuck the chin to the chest. Slowly have a seat, okay? So this can be a really great way to see the progress of the posture, and it really helps keep that foundational alignment. So if you have the ability to do it against a wall, you can even do it against a couch if you want, as long as you don't have the longest legs in the world and you can press your at least lower half of the body, hips down into it. It can be a good feedback for you to see how you're actually entering this pose. Again, just be mindful if you have low back issues, that supported back bend and just a little drop back of the head is just fine. Keep those hands on your low back for support. You want to think about the back body engaging, the front of the body trying to stay a little softer than the back body, okay? Yeah, thanks for joining me today on Just the Tip Tuesday, and with special appearance with Sawyer, and Smokey's hiding behind the blinds now. So, bye.